Good morning, everyone. Myself, Dr. Trina Dotto, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, JIS College of Engineering. So today I will tell about environmental management. So in my personal information, the mobile number and email ID is given. So if you have any doubt, you can communicate through either my mobile number or my email ID. So the most important part is the course page. And here I have uploaded all my study materials. So you can go through it anytime, anywhere. And not only the study materials, so there you will get all the probable questions, semester questions, and the solved problems. The subject name is Environmental Science and the subject code MC301 for odd semester and MC401 for even semester. And this course is for undergraduate BTech students. The streams are CSE, IT, Civil, Mechanical, and BME. By this course, the students will be able to understand the natural environment and its relationship with human activities. They will be able to apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess environmental and health risk. The students will be able to understand environmental laws and regulations to develop guidelines and procedures for health and safety issues. They will be able to solve scientific problem solving related to air, water, noise, and land pollution. So as the future citizen, students will take measures to protect our Mother Earth. They will acquire skills for scientific problem solving related to air, water, noise, and land pollution. And here the entire syllabus is given. Today I will tell about the environmental management. Environmental management, that is under the general part. And here you will learn the environmental impact assessment, environmental laws, and Protection Act of India, the Environmental Protection Act, Air Pollution Act, Water Act, Wildlife Protection Act, Hazardous Water, etc. for management and handling. So hazardous waste rules. So there are other chapters also, like air pollution, water pollution, and like noise pollution, land pollution. And here you will get the reference books that you can avail from the library. So the lecture plans, lesson plans are given here. So day-wise lecture will be covered. So a plan is given here. So in the module 1, the general part, today I will tell about the environmental management. So I have told this, that the today's topic is environmental management. So now, what is environmental management? The irrepressible human curiosity and the unquenchable thirst for knowledge are the fundamental basis for scientific development. A major part of innovations in scientific and technological development has been directed towards generation or elevation of human comforts, thereby increasing standards of living in the society. This led to increase in industrialization. Some of the important improvements to our standard of living that can be attributed to the application of science and technology includes the production of more and better quality of food, elimination of many infectious diseases, invention of new faster communication system, creation of more reliable and faster transportation, supply of safe water, invention of machines to replace human and animal power, minimization waterborne diseases through improved water technology. So you can see that how many improvement of our lifestyle has been made. Consequent to these improvements, disturbing side effects such as environmental pollution, deforestation, urbanization, loss of arable land, evolution of new organisms resistant to control, etc. have emerged. These effects are considered as potential threats to environment and to humans. The blame for deterioration of environmental quality cannot be laid only on industrial activities. Wastes from residential and commercial sources also caused environmental stress. Further, both affluence and poverty also cause pollution in their own ways. Natural calamities, illiteracy, and lack of environmental ethics are also partially responsible. Therefore, skillful and equitable environmental management often requires balancing of a number of factors, some of which at times may be conflicting with each other. Environmental management is not the management of the environment as such, but management of interaction by the modern societies with an impact upon the environment. Environmental management offers research and opinions on use and conservation of natural resources, protection of habitats, and control of hazards. So simply to say, that means to give the comfort of the life, we have done the different improvements, the industrialization, the urbanization, and as a result, we have got the side effects, that is the pollution. And to control the pollution, we have done the different environmental management. There are different acts to save the earth. Now, objective of environmental management. So what is the objective? Regulating the exploitation of natural resources. So we require the natural resources, but we should not exploit. So regulating the exploitation of natural resources, protecting environmental degradation and maintaining environmental quality, balancing the ecosystem, preserving the biological diversity, adopting engineered technology without creating adverse effects on environment. And number 6, formulation of suitable environmental laws and regulations and effective implementation of the same. So these are the objectives of environmental management. Now, what are the components of environmental management? There are different components of environmental management, like environmental impact assessment, environmental management planning, environmental auditing, socio-economic assessment, solid waste management, air quality monitoring, water quality assessment, soil quality assessment, water and wastewater management. So these are the components of environmental management. So first is environmental impact assessment, that is EIA. So an environmental impact assessment reveals possible positive or negative impact that a proposed project may have on the environment in all natural, social and economic aspects. Thus, environmental impact assessment is an activity designed to identify and predict the impact on the bio-geophysical environment and on health, human health and well-being of legislative proposals, policies, programs, projects and operational procedures, and to interpret and communicate information about the impacts. EIA is widely accepted as a tool in environmental management. It has been adopted in many countries. So basically, when we do any project, so we have to consider that what are the effects of this project on our environment. So that is called the assessment of the impact, environmental impact assessment. So what will be the impact on the environment? This assessment is called the environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact statement, EIS. EIS is a public document written in a format specified by authorized national, state and or local agencies. Environmental regulation and legal framework in India. So there are different laws like Wildlife Protection Act 1972, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, and the Forest Conservation Act 1980, Air Preservation and Control of Pollution Act 1981, Environment Protection Act 1986, Ozone Depletion Substance Regulation and Control Rules, that is 2000, Biological Diversity, that is 2002. So there are lots of acts to protect our environment. The Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it is amended in 1983, 86 and 91. As per the provisions of the Act, no one is permitted to hunt any wild animal except vermin without a license from the Chief Wildlife Warden. The Act provides for the establishment of sanctuaries, national parks, game reserves, and closed area. All wildlife animals are the property of the government. Trade or commerce in wild animals and animals, articles, and trophies is strictly regulated. No person can cook or serve meat of wild animals in any eating house without a license. Penalties for violating the provisions of the Act have also been laid down in the Act. The minimum imprisonment prescribed in 3 years, which may extended to 7 years, with a minimum fine of rupees 10,000. The Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. It is amended in 1988. So this act provides for the prevention and control of water pollution and for maintaining or resorting of wholesomeness of water. The Act defines the terms like pollution, sewage effluent, stream, and broads. The Act also assigns the function to be carried out by the central and state boards. The Act prohibits disposal of any poisonous, noxious, or polluting matter of any matter causing obstruction to the proper flow of water in a stream. The Act provides for severe and deterrent punishments for violation of the Act, which includes fine and imprisonment. The Forest Conservation Act 1980, which is amended in 1988. As per this Act, no forest land or any portion thereof may be used for any non-forest purposes without the prior permission of the central government. No state government or other authority may issue order directing that any forest land or any portion thereof may be assigned by way of lease or otherwise to any private person or to any authority, corporation, agency, or any other organization not owned, managed, or controlled by government without prior approval of central government. Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981, that is amended in 1987. This act was passed under Article 253 of the Constitution of India and in pursuance of decision of Stockholm Conference. The objective of this act is to provide for the prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution in order to preserve the quality of air. So the Act defines relevant terms such as air pollution, air pollutant, automobile, industrial plant, etc. Air pollutant is defined as the presence of any liquid or gaseous substance in the atmosphere in such concentration as may be or tend to be injurious to human being or other living creatures or plants or property or environment. All sources of pollution such as automobiles, diesel vehicles, industries, transport, railway and domestic fuels. The state board have powers to sue a polluter in a court of law to prevent him from polluting the air, and the expenses incurred by the board for doing so will be recovered from the polluter. The Act has been amended comprehensively in 1987 to render it more effective and to include noise also under the definition of air pollution. The Environment Protection Act 1986. The Environment Protection Act 1986 was enacted as per the spirit of the Stockholm Conference held in June 1972 to take appropriate steps for the protection and improvement to prevent hazards to human beings, living creatures, and property. This is a landmark legislation to provide a single focus in the country for protection of environment and to plug the loopholes in the earlier laws. This act ensures enforcement of several acts or regulations concerning pollution control and environment protection safety. The Act also empowered the central government to make rules for the first time for the air pollution control. The Stanford Quality of Air, Water, and Soil for various areas and for various purposes. Number 2, maximum permissible limit of concentration for various environmental pollutants, including noise, for different areas. Number 3, procedures and safeguards for handling of hazardous substances. Number 4, prohibition and restriction on the location of industries. Number 5, procedures and safeguards for prevention of accidents which may cause environmental pollution. So all these points are empowered by the central government. It is mandatory for persons carrying or any industry, operation, etc. not to allow emission or discharge of environmental pollutants. The Act provides for stringent penalties for defaulters. Any person can make a complaint of violation of provisions of the Act to the central government or authority or officer authorized for the purpose. Ozone layer depletion substances regulation and control rules 2000. These rules may be called ozone depletion substances regulation and control rules 2000, the comprehensive roadmap for phasing out hydrochlorofluorocarbon in various sectors as per the reduction targets of Montreal Protocol was released by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. India planned to cut the use of HCFC by 10% by 2015 and then to 0 by 2030. When in the Montreal Protocol it was banned, that means use of CFC. So instead we used HCFC, but it is also responsible for ozone layer depletion. So we have to reduce the use of HCFC also. Biological Diversity Act 2002. The Ministry of Environment and Forest has enacted the Biological Diversity Act 2002 under the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, signed at Rio de Janeiro on 5th June 1992, on which India is also a party. As per the provision of the Act, area rich in biodiversity and encompassing unique and representative ecosystems are identified and designated as biosphere reserves to facilitate their conservation. All restrictions applicable to protect areas like national parks and sanctuaries are also applicable to these reserves. Now, what is Montreal Protocol? The Montreal Protocol, finalized in 1987, is a global agreement to protect the stratospheric ozone layer by phasing out the production and consumption of ozone depleting substances, ODS. The stratospheric ozone layer filters out harmful ultraviolet radiation, which is associated with an increased prevalence of skin cancer and cataracts. The United States ratified the Montreal Protocol in 1988 and has joined its 4 subsequent amendments. The United States has been a leader within the protocol throughout its existence and has taken strong domestic action to phase out the use of ODS such as chlorofluorocarbons and halogens. The Montreal Protocol has proven to be innovative and successful and is the first treaty to achieve universal ratification by all countries in the world. Leveraging global participation, the Montreal Protocol has sent clear signals to the global market and placed the ozone layer, which was in peril, on a path to repair. This unprecedented global cooperation to address an environmental problem prevented widespread global impacts such as preventing over 2 million cases of skin cancer per year by 2030, preventing increased prevalence of cataracts, and averting damage to agricultural crops and preventing disruption of marine ecosystem. By 2035, the parties will have eliminated the vast majority of ozone depleting substances. The Montreal Protocol Scientific Assessment Panel estimates that implementation of the Montreal Protocol will allow the ozone layer to return to its pre-industrial level by mid-century. So most recently, the Montreal Protocol parties in 2016 agreed to the Kigali Amendment, which adds a new class of substances to its control known as hydrochlorofluorocarbon of HCFCs. On October 15, 2016, the 197 parties to the Montreal Protocol adopted the Kigali Amendment to phase down production and consumption of hydrochlorofluorocarbon worldwide. HFCs are widely used alternative to ozone depleting substances such as hydrochlorofluorocarbon and chlorofluorocarbon that are already subject to control under the protocol. Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol is a protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC and or FCCC, aimed at fighting global warming. This is an international environmental treaty with a goal to achieve the stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. The protocol was initially adopted on 11th December 1997 in Kyoto, Japan, and entered into force on 16 February 2005. As on April 2010, 191 countries have signed and ratified the protocol. So this protocol basically to reduce the greenhouse gases, and you have you know that what are the greenhouse gases? There are 6 greenhouse gases like CO2, H2O vapor, O3, N2O, CFCs, chlorofluorocarbon. Yes, so to reduce the carbon emission and to reduce the greenhouse gases, the Kyoto Protocol has been made. Under the protocol, 37 countries, Annex 1 countries, commit themselves to a reduction of 4 greenhouse gases, that is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, sulfur, hexafluoride, and 2 groups of gases, hydrofluorocarbons and perfluorocarbons produced by them, and all member countries give general commitments. Annex 1 countries agreed to reduce their collective greenhouse gas emission by 5.2% from the 1990 level. Emission limit do not include emissions by international aviation shipping, but are in addition to the industrial gases, chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, which are dealt with under the 1987 Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. So, if I summarize the today's lecture, so you have learned the different acts for the environmental management regarding air pollution, regarding the sanctuaries, regarding the conservation of the animals, biodiversity, and also regarding the water protection. So generally from this part, you have to prepare the short notes, like write down the short notes of EIA, or write down the short notes on Kyoto Protocol, or write down the short notes on Montreal Protocol. Okay, so you go through the study material and you submit the assignment. Already I have given the assignment. So you upload your assignment, create your own lesson and share with me. And if you have any doubt, you can communicate with me anytime. So now I am ending the session. Thank you, students.